You've probably wondered more times than you'd like to admit, why does nobody get me? It's like you're speaking fluent Italian at a mime convention. Plenty of gestures, but somehow no one's reading the signs. You dream big, you feel deeply, you sense things before they happen, and yet everyone else seems stuck on yesterday's news. If you've ever felt like a time traveler trapped in the wrong century, congratulations, you're in good company. Leonardo da Vinci himself? Yeah, the original weird genius who sketched flying machines while everyone else was still figuring out forks. This is the Da Vinci paradox, the INFJ paradox, where your rare blend of insight and intuition makes you a masterpiece that no one can seem to hang straight on the wall. So what exactly is the Da Vinci paradox? It's the strange but universal experience of highly intuitive, creative, and insightful minds. The more original and far-reaching your ideas are, the less likely they are to be understood in your own lifetime. Just like Leonardo da Vinci, who imagined inventions, explored anatomy, and painted masterpieces centuries ahead of his peers, you might find that your vision and depth set you apart in ways that are both inspiring and isolating. The Da Vinci paradox means being praised as a genius, but only after the world has caught up, leaving you misunderstood and even dismissed by those around you right now. It's not just about being different, it's about living at the edge of possibility, where few are willing or able to follow, at least until history catches up. Before we go on, if any of this already feels a little too familiar, drop a comment below. Hit like if you've ever felt misunderstood, and subscribe if you want more videos that actually speak your language. Let's dive right in. All right, first up, you seek connections others can't and pay the price. You know that feeling when you're in a group conversation and suddenly your mind starts connecting dots that nobody else even sees? Someone mentions their bad day at work and you instantly connect it to the way their manager acted at last week's meeting, a subtle sigh they let out 3 months ago, and somehow the invention of the printing press. Okay, maybe that last one is just a Tuesday for you. It's almost like you're watching life in 4D, seeing hidden threads where everyone else just sees loose ends. But here's the paradox. While you're busy unraveling the universe, the people around you are just wondering why you're so quiet, or why you asked that one weird question nobody else thought of. Let's be honest, it can feel a bit like being the only sober person at a karaoke party. You're seeing the bigger picture, spotting all the off notes, but everyone else is just belting out Bohemian Rhapsody without a care. And sometimes when you try to share your insight, you get that blank stare. Or worse, the infamous slow nod, like, sure, that's interesting. The thing is, your brain isn't broken. In fact, you're built to notice patterns and connections others miss entirely. That's classic INFJ. Da Vinci himself was notorious for seeing links between science, art, philosophy, and engineering that nobody else imagined. He literally sketched out ideas for bicycles and helicopters centuries before anyone else thought people should even be off the ground. People thought he was just eccentric, when really he was on a different timeline altogether. It's no wonder INFJs are often called old souls or wise beyond their years. You can trace emotional cause and effect across years, sometimes generations, while everyone else is still trying to remember where they left their keys. There's data to back this up too. Studies in cognitive psychology show that intuitive types, especially INFJs, excel at making associations between seemingly unrelated information, an ability linked to creativity and innovation. But as history shows, innovation is rarely greeted with a parade. Usually it's confusion, skepticism, or the occasional awkward silence at family dinners. This habit of seeing connections isn't just about being smart, it's about being sensitive to the world's patterns, people, systems, even the way society works. You might notice someone's anxious tone, link it to a news headline, and realize before anyone else that change is coming. The price? Well, people might label you too intense, too analytical, or just plain weird. But what they call overthinking, is simply deep thinking. You're collecting dots and drawing lines no one else sees. Sure, you might get left out of small talk, but you're quietly mapping the big picture. So the next time you feel out of sync, just remember, Da Vinci probably had those days too, doodling inventions while everyone else was still figuring out how not to set their bread on fire. Your ability to see connections is rare, powerful, and yes, sometimes isolating. But it's the mark of someone who isn't just living in the world, but actually decoding it. That's a price worth paying. All right, let's talk about your secret superpower, emotional intelligence as a double-edged sword. You ever walk into a room and feel the mood hit you like a surprise Wi-Fi signal? Suddenly, you know everything going on beneath the surface. Someone's smiling, but you catch that split-second flicker in their eyes, and you instantly sense there's a storm brewing behind the scenes. For most people, reading emotions is like trying to get through War and Peace with a hangover. But for you, it's a page-turner. You can read people's vibes the way Da Vinci could sketch the folds of a velvet cloak, effortlessly and with uncanny accuracy. But here's where things get spicy. People aren't always thrilled to be seen so clearly. Sometimes, your ability to name the emotion in the room or call out the thing nobody wants to say feels to them like you're reading their diary out loud. Suddenly, they're squirming, shifting in their seats, or pretending they have a very important text message to reply to. You're not trying to make anyone uncomfortable, you just notice things. You're like an emotional detective, except instead of fingerprints, you're dusting for feelings. Da Vinci had this too. He could look at someone and see their whole inner life, the joys, the pain, the existential dread about taxes. Look at the Mona Lisa. People have been debating her smile for 500 years, but Da Vinci, he saw the contradictions, the sadness mixed with joy, and put it all into a painting. You, INFJ, have that same gift. You see the subtext, you get the emotional plot twist before anyone else even knows they're in a drama. Here's the double-edged part. While some people are drawn to you because you understand them better than they understand themselves, others can get defensive, even a little suspicious, like, "How did you know I was upset? I didn't say anything." No, you didn't, but your energy did. Sometimes, your empathy is so strong it's almost freaky, like you're part human, part lie detector. Studies actually show that INFJs score high on emotional intelligence and are more likely to pick up micro-expressions, those quick flashes of real feeling most people miss. It makes you an amazing friend, partner, and listener, but it also means you get hit with other people's emotions like stray Nerf darts at a birthday party. You feel what others are feeling whether you want to or not, and it can be exhausting. The upside, you know how to comfort people in ways that actually matter. The downside, you sometimes attract emotional vampires, people who love that you understand them but never return the favor. So if you've ever been accused of being too sensitive, or people act weird because you noticed something they hope to keep hidden, don't take it personally. It's not a flaw. It's your genius in action. Like Da Vinci, you see beyond the surface. And yes, that makes you rare. It also means you're often the first to sense when someone needs a friend or when the group needs a shift in energy. So, next time your empathy feels like a curse, just remember, it's also your ticket to understanding the world in ways most people will never experience. And if anyone gives you grief for being too deep, just smile like Mona Lisa, because only a genius knows what's really going on behind the eyes. Now let's get into something that truly sets you apart. Driven by vision, not validation. You don't just march to the beat of your own drum. You've built the drum, designed a whole new time signature, and then wondered why everyone else is still clapping on the wrong beat. Most people crave validation like it's coffee. They want likes, hearts, little digital pats on the back. But you're fueled by something different. An inner vision, a calling, the big why that doesn't care how many followers are along for the ride. Let's be real. Sometimes you look at what's trending, shake your head, and feel like you accidentally wandered into the wrong timeline. Cat videos are cute and all, but you're over here trying to solve existential mysteries or figure out how to leave the world a little better than you found it. It's not about applause, it's about impact. Your satisfaction comes from turning your inner vision into something real, even if it means nobody else sees it for years or ever. Take Da Vinci. He wasn't just trying to impress the local art critics, he was too busy dissecting cadavers to unlock the secrets of human anatomy or scribbling inventions that wouldn't exist for another 400 years. And do you think he got 1 million likes for his backwards handwriting? Nope. Most people just assumed he was a weirdo with too much ink and not enough daylight. But Da Vinci didn't stop. Why? Because the vision burning inside him was louder than any crowd could ever be. For you, INFJ, it's the same story. You might work on a creative project for months, perfect an idea, or champion a cause, never because it's popular, but because it feels right. And sometimes, people around you just don't get it. They'll ask, "Why are you doing all this? Who's even watching?" And the answer usually is simple. You are. You're watching. You're the one making sure the story is told the way it needs to be told. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation, doing things because they matter to you, not because the world is cheering you on. Studies show that people who are driven by inner goals, rather than external rewards, are more persistent, creative, and ultimately more fulfilled. Of course, this can be a lonely path. There are days you wonder if anyone will ever understand why you care so much. But deep down, you know you're not wired to follow. You're wired to lead, to create, to blaze a trail where there isn't one yet. So, if you ever feel out of step with the crowd, remember, most of history's game changers got that same confused look from their neighbors. Your vision may not fit the mold, and you might not get a standing ovation. But you're not here for applause. You're here to leave a mark. The world eventually catches up, and when it does, they'll wish they'd seen what you saw way back when you were the only one paying attention. Now let's talk about radical honesty. That sounds like rebellion. You know that moment when everyone's nodding along in polite agreement and you feel a burning need to just drop the truth bomb? Yeah, that's you. It's not that you're trying to stir the pot, you're just allergic to pretending everything's fine when it clearly isn't. You'd rather risk a little awkward silence than let the elephant in the room start charging around, knocking over everyone's emotional furniture. It's funny because most people claim to value honesty until they get it. For you, truth isn't about being blunt for the sake of it or winning some argument. It's about clarity, authenticity, the kind of realness that lets things actually change. You spot hypocrisy like a hawk spots a mouse, and you just can't help yourself. If something's off, you'll speak up, even if it means everyone else starts shuffling their feet and suddenly remembers a dentist appointment. Sound familiar? Da Vinci had this problem in spades. The guy was out there questioning the official story about the human body, dissecting cadavers to see how things really worked, all while the authorities were saying, "Hey, just take our word for it, okay?" You didn't buy it, and neither do you. Your honesty is almost surgical, precise, a little intimidating, and definitely not sugar-coated. You're not out to rebel, you just can't stand watching the world settle for half-truths and surface-level answers. But here's where it gets complicated. Most people aren't ready for this level of depth. When you point out what nobody else will say, it can feel threatening to them, like you're poking holes in their favorite comfort blanket. You might be branded as difficult, contrarian, or just too much. The irony, your truth bombs are usually dropped to help, to bring light, to fix things that are broken. But to people who love the status quo, honesty sounds a lot like revolution. Psychologically, this is classic INFJ. You hold your values tight, and your inner compass never points to just go along with it. Research shows that people who score high on trait authenticity are less likely to conform and more likely to drive positive change, even if it costs them socially. You know it's a risk, but you take it anyway, because you care more about real progress than about fitting in. So, if you've ever been labeled a troublemaker just for telling the truth, remember, you're in legendary company. Da Vinci didn't end up in history books because he kept quiet. Sometimes honesty is the only way things get better, even if it shakes things up along the way. And if that means you're misunderstood, well, you're not here to keep everyone comfortable. You're here to wake people up. Let's dive into another classic paradox. Social chameleons, but never truly fitting in. You've probably noticed you can slip into almost any group, any situation, and blend in so smoothly it's like you've been there for years. At work, you're reading the room, knowing exactly when to crack a joke and when to hold back. At family gatherings, you play peacemaker, mediator, or sometimes the mysterious one lurking near the snack table. You might have even found yourself acting as a translator between two friends who just don't get each other. It's not about being fake, it's about survival. Adaptability is your secret weapon, and also your secret burden. See, most people think of chameleons as cool, but if you were a real chameleon, you'd know. They only change colors so they don't get eaten. And that's you, right? You adapt to fit in because deep down, you know how rare your true colors actually are. It's the INFJ classic. You're in the group, but never really of the group. You're present, but always a little apart, like you're behind glass, watching everything with an outsider's insight. Da Vinci himself was the OG chameleon. He hung out with royalty, artists, scientists, even soldiers, but he never really belonged to any tribe. He could discuss anatomy with doctors and then slip into a masquerade ball, fitting in everywhere and nowhere. He was fluent in everyone else's language, but his own thoughts, those lived in private notebooks written backward just to keep them safe. If you've ever felt like you're the only one in the room seeing the real plot while everyone else is lost in the trailer, you're channeling your inner Da Vinci. And here's the twist. While people might be drawn to your ability to understand and reflect them, they often misinterpret your adaptability. Sometimes you're accused of being distant, detached, or, my personal favorite, hard to read. In reality, you're reading everyone else so much that you forget to show your own pages. That feeling of never quite belonging no matter how much you blend in, that's not a flaw. It's a side effect of deep self-awareness in a world built for surface-level connections. Psychologists say this comes from high cognitive empathy, the ability to understand and even mirror other people's emotions and behaviors. It's what makes INFJs great counselors, advisors, and yes, sometimes the mysterious friend everyone confides in, but nobody truly knows. You can play any role the moment requires, but you never lose sight of your real self, even if you keep that self tucked away most of the time. So if you've ever left a party feeling more alone than when you arrived, or wondered why everyone thinks you're so easy to talk to yet nobody seems to see you, know this: you're not broken. You're just operating at a depth most people never realize exists. Being a social chameleon isn't about hiding who you are. It's about knowing who you are so well, you can adapt to anything and still come home to yourself. That, my friend, is its own kind of genius. Let's talk about a trait that's both a blessing and a curse. The curse of perfectionistic creativity. If you're an INFJ, you already know the routine. You get a spark of inspiration, a story, a design, a plan to reorganize your life. You roll up your sleeves, dive in, and then the perfectionism hits like a surprise boss battle. Suddenly, that small tweak to your drawing turns into an all-night odyssey of detail. That video script you started is on its 9th revision. You read your email draft for the 7th time just in case you missed a single comma that might accidentally ruin your entire reputation. Let's be honest, to the outside world, this can look a bit obsessive. Why don't you just finish it? They ask. Why are you overthinking everything? What they don't get is, for you, there's no such thing as just finish it. The idea in your head is vivid and alive, almost sacred. Anything less than that feels like a betrayal of your own vision. You're not chasing gold stars, you're chasing the gold. Leonardo da Vinci, the guy was notorious for this. He'd spend years tinkering with a single painting, never calling it done. The Mona Lisa traveled with him everywhere, getting touch-ups and tweaks like the world's most glamorous science project. People thought he was indecisive, maybe a little flaky. What they missed is that Da Vinci wasn't being difficult. He just knew art could always be deeper, more real, more true to what he saw in his mind. For you, this means every project feels like it's never quite finished. Perfectionism is your creative fuel, but also the anchor around your ankle. It pushes you to brilliance, but it can also leave you paralyzed, staring at a blank page or tinkering endlessly with the details nobody else will ever notice. Research backs this up. INFJs score high on measures of conscientiousness and creativity, but also on self-criticism and doubt. You see not just what something is, but what it could be, what it should be, and until it reaches that impossible ideal, you struggle to let it go. The flip side? When you do finally share your work, people are often blown away by the depth, the polish, the thought you've poured into it. You might not see the genius in your own efforts, but trust me, the world can. Even if they never see the invisible revisions or the all-nighters you pulled to get it just right. So, next time someone calls you slow, indecisive, or too picky, smile and take it as a compliment. Your perfectionism is the birthplace of your most brilliant ideas. Just remember, sometimes good enough really is good enough. Even Da Vinci had to put down the brush eventually. And if you ever do finish something, well, that's basically a masterpiece. Now, let's get honest about something every INFJ genius faces sooner or later. Loneliness isn't a flaw, it's a byproduct of depth. Let's be real. Sometimes it feels like you could be surrounded by 1,000 people, confetti raining down, music blasting, but deep inside, it's just you and your thoughts, having a quiet little existential seminar. You crave connection, not just company. Small talk feels like eating rice cakes when you're starving for a real meal. You want to talk about the why, the meaning, the stuff beneath the surface, not just the weather or what someone's neighbor's dog did last week. And here's the kicker. The deeper you go, the fewer people you find who can actually meet you there. It's not that you can't connect. You connect everywhere you go. You're probably the one person everyone feels comfortable confiding in, the safe harbor in their social storm. But when it comes to someone truly understanding your inner world, suddenly it's tumbleweeds. It's like being fluent in an ancient language only to discover nobody else remembers how to speak it. Da Vinci, again, was no stranger to this. The man was a social butterfly when he wanted to be, making friends with royalty and riffraff alike. But his greatest thoughts? Those lived in secret notebooks, scrawled backwards, almost as if he knew nobody else would get it. If you've ever written in your journal, poured your heart into art, or spent hours in your own head because that's where the real conversations happen, congrats! You're carrying on a centuries-old genius tradition. Research in psychology even backs this up. The deeper your need for meaning and authenticity, the less satisfied you'll be with shallow connections. INFJs are wired for depth, so loneliness isn't a flaw or a sign you're bad at people. It's a natural side effect of your search for what's real. In a world obsessed with networking and being social, you're out here looking for soul. Of course, it can get heavy. There are nights where you wonder if anyone will ever really get you, if you'll ever find that one person who sees all your layers and says, "I get it." But here's the twist. Your loneliness is proof of your depth, not your failure. Most people are snorkeling through life. You're deep-sea diving for buried treasure. So next time you find yourself feeling alone in a crowd, remember, you're not missing out. You're just tuned in to a different frequency, a frequency only a rare few can hear. And when you do meet someone who really gets you, well, that connection is pure gold, the kind Da Vinci himself would have treasured. Now, let's get into one of your spookiest INFJ superpowers, intuitive warnings that go ignored. You know that feeling when you just know something's about to go sideways, and you try to warn people, but they look at you like you've just announced the sky is falling? You pick up on those subtle cues, the nervous laughter, the dodged eye contact, the pattern in the data everyone else seems to miss. It's almost like you have a sixth sense for trouble brewing. Think of it as INFJ spidey sense, but with more existential dread and less spandex. You see the iceberg in the distance long before the Titanic's crew is even worried about cold weather. Maybe you spot a friendship drifting apart, a work project on the edge of collapse, or a family secret about to explode. You mention it gently, "Hey, I think something's off here," and instantly people act like you've just insulted their grandma. Relax, you're overthinking it. Famous last words, right? Da Vinci? He did this too. He warned the city of Florence that the riverbanks needed reinforcing. Everyone shrugged it off. Then came the floods, and suddenly Da Vinci was less eccentric artist and more mysterious prophet. You probably know the feeling. After the fallout, people circle back and say, "Why didn't anyone see this?" And you're left thinking, "Well, I tried, but apparently I should have sent it via carrier pigeon." It's both a gift and a curse. Your intuition lets you connect the dots way ahead of the crowd. Psychology research calls this high pattern recognition. INFJs are especially good at synthesizing emotional and logical data to predict outcomes. In plain English, you know what's up, even if you can't explain exactly how. The challenge is people are naturally skeptical of warnings that threaten their sense of comfort or certainty. They'd rather wait for the storm than pack an umbrella just in case. And let's be real, it can get frustrating. After a while, you might start to doubt yourself or just keep your warnings to yourself to avoid the eye rolls. But don't lose heart. That intuition is what makes you a trusted guide, a counselor, and yes, sometimes the voice nobody wants to hear until it's too late. So, the next time you see storm clouds on the horizon and everyone else is busy planning their picnic, trust your gut. Whether or not they listen, you're tuned in to a deeper current. And hey, Da Vinci was ignored in his time too. Now he's history's favorite genius. One day, people might look back and wish they'd listened to the weird, wise INFJ in the room. Now let's talk about one of the most frustrating parts of the INFJ experience: misjudged motives, seen as manipulators, not visionaries. You know how it goes. You walk into a situation, instantly scan the emotional landscape, and, almost without trying, see the big picture. You understand what motivates each person in the room, you know where the conversation is really heading, and you can nudge the group toward a breakthrough or steer things away from disaster before anyone else even sees the cliff. You're not running secret schemes or plotting like a villain in a soap opera. You're just strategic. You get people and you genuinely want to help things work out for the best. But here's where it gets weird. Because you can influence outcomes, because you're good at reading people and, let's be honest, occasionally nudging them in a better direction, some folks start to get suspicious. Suddenly your insight gets mistaken for manipulation. People might whisper, "Why are they always 2 steps ahead?" Or accuse you of having a hidden agenda when really you're just following your intuition and trying to keep the peace. If it feels like déjà vu, that's because Da Vinci lived this too. He was so ahead of his time that his rivals accused him of everything from heresy to actual witchcraft. The dude just wanted to make flying machines and understand the human body, but people couldn't wrap their heads around his perspective, so they branded him as something to be feared. Sound familiar? The irony is most INFJs are actually allergic to manipulation. It goes against your core values. You'd rather lose the game than play dirty. What you're really doing is seeing connections, weighing consequences, and quietly adjusting the sails so the ship doesn't hit the rocks. If that looks like magic or manipulation to others, well, that's their projection, not your intention. There's some psychology behind this too. Studies show that people who are highly empathetic and strategic are sometimes misunderstood by those who rely on more obvious, straightforward communication. Your way of moving through the world is subtle, nuanced, and yes, sometimes invisible to people who aren't looking for the layers. And let's face it, most people are only reading the headlines while you're analyzing the footnotes. So if you ever get accused of being calculating or too clever, just remember, your intentions are rooted in understanding and guidance, not control. It's the price you pay for seeing the whole chessboard when others are only looking at their next move. The world desperately needs more visionaries, but until they catch up, don't let their confusion shake your confidence. Da Vinci's notebooks were filled with blueprints nobody understood until centuries later. Your blueprints? They're just ahead of their time too. And now, here it is, the ultimate irony, the legacy paradox, celebrated only after they're gone. If you've ever wondered why it feels like nobody fully sees your genius until it's ancient history, you're not alone. It's the classic story. You spend your life building, dreaming, creating, dropping hints that maybe, just maybe, the world could be different. You're met with shrugs, confusion, maybe a polite, "That's nice, dear," while the real impact of your ideas slips quietly by, unnoticed. Da Vinci lived this reality to the letter. When he died, he wasn't surrounded by fans or labeled the Renaissance man in glowing headlines. Instead, his notebooks, full of inventions, discoveries, and half the secrets of the universe, were scattered, forgotten, even hidden. It took centuries for people to realize, wait, he was actually onto something. That's the Da Vinci paradox in its purest form. The misunderstood genius who becomes a legend, but only when it's too late to enjoy the standing ovation. As an INFJ, you probably sense this pattern in your own life. The advice you gave that nobody listened to until they did, the projects you started that people ignored until they became trends, the way your quirks, your deep thoughts, your stubborn hope for a better world are brushed aside, only to be treasured years later when people finally catch up. You might even joke that your biography will be a bestseller, but only after you're long gone. It's not easy to live in the waiting room of your own legacy. Sometimes you wonder if it's even worth trying, if maybe you should just blend in and play along. But here's the truth. The world desperately needs the outliers, the ones who see further, feel deeper, and refuse to settle for the obvious answer. Your impact isn't measured in instant applause or viral moments. It's in the quiet changes you spark, the lives you touch, the seeds you plant that take years, sometimes generations, to grow. So when you feel overlooked or misunderstood, just remember you're in legendary company. Da Vinci didn't set out to become a myth. He just followed his curiosity and trusted that someday someone would finally understand. You don't have to wait for history to catch up to be proud of who you are, because every misunderstood genius, every INFJ dreamer is already living proof that sometimes the world's most valuable treasures are the ones it's slowest to recognize. And who knows? Maybe one day someone will stumble across your notebooks, your art, your ideas, and say, "Wow, how did we miss this?" Until then, keep creating, keep dreaming, and never let the world's slow applause dim your own inner light. Keep being you. History always remembers the originals.